Tyson Fury is back. Are we getting AJ next? And Connor Benn looked less than impressive in the ring. All of that today on the review show. Straight into the action with Tyson Fury against Arslanbek Makhmudov. What do we make of the performance?
I don't think it was great, to be honest.
Sort of 6 out of 10, wasn't it?
Yeah, to be fair, he hasn't been in the ring for a long time, so that a bit of ring rust, I suppose you can give him a bit of leeway with that, but yeah, it wasn't, considering when you look at Makhmudov and the 2 losses he's got against Vianello and Caballero, those 2 dealt with him a lot easier than what Fury did on Saturday night. And I think it was a bit scrappy more than anything. Like, Makhmudov was, like, in terms of boxing skill, was probably the worst we've seen of him. It was just very much head down,
head down, thumbs up.
Yeah, just go crazy for as long as you can. And I think it was more, it wasn't as if Makhmudov was hurt by the end of the fight. It was just more that he was knackered more than anything.
I did think maybe he put out less of an output than normal, but I didn't think he looked quite as tired as he normally does, Makhmudov. It was such a weird fight and performance in general.
He looked like a completely different fighter to the one that turned up in Sheffield against Dave Allen, which is mental because you're thinking, oh my God, Makhmudov, career best performance, some people said, against Dave Allen. And then you're thinking, oh, he could cause Tyson Fury some problems after that, 16-month layoff. And then Saturday night, he wasn't the best. But in all fairness to Fury, with that lengthy period that he had off, and he's released this documentary on Netflix now, and it did look like he was in retirement, and then he's come back and all that. He didn't look too bad.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He didn't look like a fighter that has put boxing to one side and focused on family life. He looks like a boxer that, as he's done for, 5 times, he's just given boxing a break for a little bit and came back and performed. And yeah, it's all about making noise, Tyson Fury is, when he fights. And Saturday night wasn't the sort of loudest of performances that can get people talking and excited about him potentially going down the trilogy route with Usyk, or, further building the excitement of that incredible fight with Anthony Joshua.
Yeah, he did what he had to do, though, didn't he? Ultimately, he did what he had to do.
I'm not being funny. I think, especially when you've got the person that you should be fighting next ringside, what's the point in risking it? It was a bit like that when he fought, the bloke in Belfast before Deontay Wilder, the Italian fella, I can't remember his name, Pianetro or something. That was a 10-rounder. He didn't want to risk anything because he knew what was coming next. So perhaps Tyson Fury thought on Saturday night that I'll stick behind the jab, I'll work his, do what he always does and, just take it over the distance. And I'm not being funny, I wasn't shocked that it went the full 36 minutes. And yeah, it was just the sort of, like I said, the excitement now of that AJ fight's a little bit, for me, turned down a little bit just because of that performance of, has Fury still got it? But from Saturday night, against an opponent that was very poor, he looked decent. Yeah,
I think for me, it was like you said, kind of exactly what we expected. I mean, we pretty much called on the podcast last week that it would finish exactly like that. And we said style-wise that Makhmudov would be the perfect fit for Fury. He would be strong, but we know that Fury can take a punch, and we knew he would be, not the fittest. And Tyson Fury, he's always got the full distance and the full rounds in him. So from that point of view, tick box, he got it off, he knocked the rust off, and I can see why he wants to say, AJ, fight me now, fight me next. And with that whole thing, personally, I think AJ handled the whole situation pretty well. I think from Netflix, from Fury, from Turkey, to attempt to blindside him by sticking a camera in his face and getting him to commit to something that, considering the fact that he's lucky to still be walking, he cheated death months ago. What was it, 4 months ago now? I think it was a little bit in bad taste, but AJ handled it, as he does. He sold the fight a little bit without, committing to saying it's happening.
Finger, I think sold the fight.
That little middle finger, will feed generations for memes. But I think the whole thing, it felt like the setup to say, here's the AJ fight next.
Yeah.
And AJ wasn't willing to commit to that, and I've got respect to him for that. But from Fury's end, he did what he had to do. He got through the fight, he got the decision, he made the call.
Yeah, you can understand it from AJ's point of view. I think like nothing's set in stone at the moment. They haven't officially signed a contract. And how many times over the last decade have we been in this position? And as much as Tyson Fury wanted to stand in that ring and try and get AJ to say, yeah, I'll fight you next, it's just putting AJ in a difficult corner because we know exactly what Tyson Fury's like. Because you'll get AJ saying, yeah, I'll fight you, and then it'll be a few weeks down the line, contracts won't get signed, and then Tyson Fury will stand there going, oh yeah, look, he said he'd fight me, but now it's not happening.
But also, even beyond that, and I do agree, and from AJ's point of view, he kind of said, he was like, I've been here before with Fury, and the fight's not going to happen, so I'm not getting too excited. But even beyond that, I think, considering the situation, considering the scenario that AJ is in, he comes back to the sport when he feels he's ready, or if he feels ready. And if he feels like he needs another fight beforehand to see what he's got left, to see if there are any implications of being in a life-threatening car crash, then he will take that extra fight. And to kind of try and use the cameras, fortunately he's been in the game a long time, to try and use the cameras to blindside him with that, I felt was a little bit tasteless. But regardless, we're excited, aren't we? We are excited for the fight.
I do think AJ is right in what he's saying, as well as there's not many people that Tyson Fury comes off as the B side against, but I think Anthony Joshua is that guy.
Yeah,
Joshua is the A side.
He's come up with the new nickname, the Landlord, hasn't he? I like it, but yeah, it's exciting.
Put him in his place though, weren't he? A little bit of fury on Saturday night, Joshua was doing to him, and I just, especially what happened at the end of December, you got to give it to AJ for even thinking about coming back to boxing. Yeah. Because the sort of thoughts are probably going through his mind. Oh my God. But I think he has a warm-up fight.
I think so too.
I think they do Deontay Wilder first.
I agree.
I think they do Wilder first.
Commercially, it makes sense. Level-wise, we saw what level Deontay Wilder was at. And I think that Deontay Wilder, albeit he beat Chisora, probably gets flattened by Tyson Fury off that back of that performance against Makhmudov. So AJ, I think that makes sense.
Yeah,
to do.
I think that gets done potentially July time, and then we're looking at a Christmas fight with him and Fury at Tottenham, Wembley. I don't know where, Millennium Stadium indoors it could be in. So
yeah, there's lots of options, and ultimately we are one step closer than we were, in the form of that AJ hasn't ruled it out. And it's nice to see him ringside. And
the thing is that we've
face.
seen it all before, haven't we?
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder was ringside for a lot of AJ's fights at Wembley. I think it was Povetkin and all that. He was there watching him, Parker as well, Takam. Never got signed. They were going back and forth online and all, and it never got signed, never happened. Now it's there. As AJ said, we're not going to believe it until they're in the ring, coming together, going back from the referee, and the first bell
But
goes.
that's the way it felt with Fury Usyk.
Correct.
That first fight. I remember refusing to kind of accept it was happening until I saw the two men in the ring and having a moment of like, oh no, we are actually getting this now. And being ringside doesn't always mean, you're going to, I think Hasbulla's been ringside for a few fights, but no one's calling him out. So just being ringside is not a guarantee of a fight. It seems unlikely. Yeah. Maybe Nick Ball, who knows? But
it's hard not to get excited for it, but until they both stood in that ring, then it's not going to happen until that point. But looking at that fight and the performance from Tyson Fury on Saturday, I think he needs to be a lot better than that if he's to stand any chance against Anthony Joshua. And I know we haven't seen Anthony Joshua, and he's coming off the back of what happened in December, but I think if you put the two of them in the ring now with how Fury performed on Saturday, I think Anthony Joshua gets the best of him. And I think running from that fight for the last decade, he's probably run from the best version of Tyson Fury capable of beating Anthony Joshua, because I think he's slowed down to a point now. He's never really been a massive one with punch power, and you've seen that on Saturday. I just think that timing wise now, Joshua is going to have all the advantages going into that fight.
I agree to a point. We don't know what AJ is going to look like, and I don't want to speculate too much until we see him, or whether he is definitely getting back in the ring. But I agree that Tyson Fury has to be better, but equally, he strikes me as the kind of person that just pulls it out of the bag. When his back's against the wall, I think going into that first Usyk fight, I was arrogant almost about the fact that Usyk was going to win that fight. I was thinking nothing else. I was so confident. Yeah. And he gave him a better fight than I expected. And I think
should have been stopped though.
He should have been, but I think back against the wall, Fury just has that kind of pull it out the bag gene. We saw it against Wilder.
He keeps coming.
The man was arguably unconscious in the ring and got back up like the Undertaker and finished that fight. So I think both of them will pull it out the bag, but I do think we're going to see a fight of two people at a similar level. And albeit it may not be their best, I think that makes for a good fight.
And Fury said something that I think a lot of British boxing fans should be excited about.
Your sausage.
No.
Was it that?
Well done. No, not that. He said
I thought he was in the room then.
It's happening in Britain. Yes. He's not leaving. He's not fighting outside of Britain anymore after what happened with the Usyk fights. So I think that's a positive from Saturday night.
It's the right outcome for the wrong reason, essentially. He should be saying, I want to fight in Britain because it's where the fight should be, rather than because he thinks
Can you imagine
he got cheated,
getting a ticket for that as well, mind? When
Fury... I don't think it's to be the £9 that you could have paid for Fury Makhmudov. But moving on from that,
we have to talk about this one?
We do. Connor Benn versus Regis Prograis. There was a lot of noise made in the week. Eddie Hearn came out and said that, Prograis probably shouldn't be getting in the ring, and Prograis confirmed that after the fight. We suggested we were probably going to get a retirement, and I think that's what we expected. But Conor Benn didn't even manage that, and I don't know if you boys agree with me, I thought the performance was really bad. Like really bad.
I can't believe he's been paid 25 million for that fight.
Are you just going up? I can't believe he's received 50 million. It just keeps going up. It's like Chinese whispers. But 11 million pounds, $50 million.
Yeah, I got the
conversion rate.
The conversion rate wrong last week, but still, even at that point, if it's 11 million
to fight a Regis Prograis that is fading, and
you could see in that ring
he was already in the retirement.
He should not have been in that ring.
Let's be honest.
He was a shell of the best version of Regis Prograis.
But I think what's concerning for me, and I don't mean this as like a headhunt on Conor Benn or anything, but Regis Prograis was awful. His legs were never there. Yeah. He looked so slow, and yet he managed to cause Conor Benn far too many problems.
Just shows his level, though,
catching him on the counter, catching it, and I think it, like you say, it shows his level. That is a previously world level fighter that has lost everything. Yeah. Conor was sharper, Conor was stronger, Conor was quicker, Conor was fitter, and he still got caused problems by Regis Prograis. And I think that is a concern. Some people will say that that's a surprise, and we've always said I think Conor Benn's sort of relatively British level. Mm-hmm. But if he gets in there with Konstantin Ursu,
there's so many domestic level welterweights that would beat Conor Benn
comfortably as well.
Yeah,
Howie is mandatory challenger for the WBC title, and a fight with Ryan Garcia is only going one way.
That just goes back to boxing, a bit like Ryan Garcia when he fought in his last fight. The name factor.
Barrios, yeah.
That name factor can get you so far in a sport. It doesn't matter about the level of yourself or the quality of your, the skills that you've got. As if you got that name and if you got the mouth that can sell you fights and keep you moving up the ranks, then you're going to get the big fights. And that's what Conor Benn's done. Yeah. All right, you can put possibly the Eubank fights to one side because that made sense. They were big fights. But whatever comes next now, I feel like he's probably only going to be positioned in those fights due to the fact of his name.
Yeah, quite possibly. I mean, I suppose the context of beating Chris Eubank Jr., when you know the level of Chris Eubank Jr. that was in there, the situation he was in, that it wasn't as impressive a win. But in terms of rankings, you can see why someone like Eubank Jr., who's beaten champions, he's held world titles in some regard, that a win against him might earn you a favourable ranking. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. But it is, like you say, the fact that he will probably get beaten at that level. And I think, don't get me wrong, do I want the Garcia fight next? Yes. I think it's the best fight for both men. I think Ryan Garcia versus, if it's not Devin Haney, a Conor Benn fight is magic. Pre the fight, it's exciting. The build up, the trash talk, all of that, the rivalry, the fact that they're both good talkers, the fact they've both had their problems with being banned from the sport, and you kind of couldn't use that against the other one because you're guilty of it yourself. That would be quite funny. But in terms of what it delivers in the ring, I think Ryan Garcia absolutely flattens him.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah, full credit to Connor Benn for the amount of money he's going to make for that fight on Saturday and probably the next couple of fights at least before, you see his true level. But that Ryan Garcia fight, like you said, I think it only goes one way. It'll be a very exciting build-up, a very entertaining one to watch, and no doubt it's going to do good numbers and make a lot of money. But yeah, it's just looking at that performance on Saturday against Regis Prograis, he's just not showing anywhere near the level to compete above British title level, I wouldn't have thought.
No, I would agree.
He's a free agent now as well.
He is, yeah.
So,
I think realistically Zuffa getting back in or for another Ring Magazine card against if it is Ryan Garcia.
Stupid. That's what I mean. I don't understand that what's the long-term
They
process
must think Connor Benn's a bigger star than...
No.
He's a huge star, but I think they think he's a bigger... They think he's probably the biggest star in British boxing. That's why they signed him.
The reality of the matter is, that was not a Zuffa card. Albeit he was signed to them, he was their promoters. They will be getting a promotional cut of that pay. He was not being paid by Dana White. The money that goes into Dana White shows at the Apex that we've seen on YouTube and whatnot else, and we're going to be seeing on Sky Sports, I believe, in this country, are a different beast to the shows we see, the Ring Magazine, the Riyadh season cards, which this one was.
Yeah.
So I think basically he's a Zuffa fighter in name and nothing else, essentially. And if we see that fight again, I think you see another one-fight deal worth a ludicrous amount of money, but at least if it's Ryan Garcia, then I suppose that ludicrous amount of money is more justifiable. But do you think we see that fight next? Do you think that is the fight we see?
Probably will happen.
I think so. I don't see where else.
WBC?
WBC are all over that.
He's going to get paid a lot of money to fight for a world title. Like any other names you look at, like we said, there's countless names domestically in Britain, like someone like Jack Catterall or Ursu or Conor Walker.
Even someone like maybe even Elliot Whale that was on the undercard. I think he gives him a good fight.
There's laws, but then the damage that's going to do to the reputation, I think, compared to getting in there against Ryan Garcia for a world title fight.
It's a free hit.
Catching a left hook. And yeah, I think you could have another go after that of building another big fight, whereas if he goes and fights a domestic level fighter and gets found out, then it's hard to build that stardom as much.
The other weird thing is this fight wasn't actually at welterweight, was it? It was at a catchweight. It was at 150 rather than 147.
Yeah, so he had the weight advantage.
And Regis Prograis is not a welterweight even at that. So yeah, it
was a tough watch though, wasn't it, Saturday? Because you're watching it going, the Regis Prograis, he should not be in there.
Yeah, and even at that, the amount of times that we've kind of sat on here and sat on our high stool and said, this is a rubbish fight, and then been genuinely excited to watch it come the weekend. When it was coming up, I was a bit sort of agnostic about it all. I was a bit like, it's Connor Benn and stuff.
Did you feel like that for the whole card though? For Fury's return as well?
No, I don't think so. I enjoyed the main event. I enjoyed Justis Huni, Frazer Clarke. I enjoyed Richard Riakporhe, Jeamie TKV as an outcome as a spectacle. I mean, talking about that fight, British title fight,
I thought that was performance of the night.
Yeah, it was the one fight
shocked us.
Prediction-wise, I got wrong. I thought TKV would be too awkward. Exactly what he tried to do.
Yeah.
I thought Richard Riakporhe might be a little bit too one-dimensional, but I think that's probably doing him a disservice because that one dimension, even if it is the only dimension he's got, is scary power. And if you're doing that to Jeamie TKV, then you'll cause no end of heavyweights problems if you can catch them with that.
He can seriously bang. And I think he showed, I know he won the British title on Saturday night, but he showed he could probably go a level beyond that at least. I don't think it's still hard to say how far he could go, but he definitely proved on Saturday night that he's got the potential to do some damage in the heavyweight division. But I think the best thing to come out of it was the post-fight interview where he was like, I want a world title shot, or I want Johnny Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No in between.
Yeah, winner of Wardley Dubois or Johnny Fisher. It's a little bit sort of
Yeah, but I think that defeat at Selhurst Park for Riakporhe now is such a long distant memory, and the sort of thing that he's come from there is phenomenal.
I think it proves, I don't know about you guys, the way I feel is he's not a cruiserweight.
No, he wasn't a cruiserweight that night.
Yes, he was making cruiserweight, but I just don't think naturally he should have been a cruiserweight. I mean, let's not make two ways about it. He is huge. Like, you look at some heavyweights and you go, you're a big guy, but Richard Riakporhe is a unit.
Yeah.
He looks like when on a video game, you just go like muscles max, size max, like you just max it out. He is a heavyweight and he hits like a heavyweight. We've seen, I think Adley obviously caught TKV with that one great shot, but it was a shot he didn't see coming. He thought that there was a break and dropped him. But Riakporhe was catching him in shots that TKV knew were coming. TKV was braced for. TKV was trying to block, and he still had the legs wobbled on a couple of occasions. That is genuine heavyweight knockout power.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was breaking through the guard quite a lot, and I know the stoppage was a bit controversial, but I think the fight was only going one way. I think the referee could have let it go maybe a bit longer, but I think it was inevitable. I think that he was going to get a stoppage win, but be interesting to see what's next now for Riakporhe, because, well, he's opened up such a wide range of potential options, but I don't think the Johnny Fisher fight is one that people really need to see.
And I don't think it's one that Johnny Fisher takes. No. I don't think it makes sense.
Not after, no.
I suppose if he gets a roll of the dice of trying to win a British title, it's half worth looking at, but I don't think he's going to cause Riakporhe much problems, in all honesty. But I also don't think he gets the world title shot of Wardley and Dubois winner.
Yeah,
so I think it's somewhere in between the two.
You've got the European champion, Labanot Zhag, I think it is, the Kosovan, who's European champion, WBC International. I think that's the fight they look for.
In Germany as well. Actually, Kabayel's probably going to be fighting in Germany.
If Kabayel has another fight in Germany, I think you get Richard Riakporhe on the undercard. And I think it makes sense ranking-wise. It gets him that little bit closer. Obviously, Frank Warren's got a long list of heavyweights, even in this country. And Lawrence Okoli's a couple steps forward in terms of the WBC rankings. Yeah. Moses Atoma's probably a couple steps forward. But I think a European title makes a lot of sense for him. But regardless of that, I think it's a definite sort of wake up and pay attention type performance in a way that we haven't seen from Riakporhe. I think there's been question marks over him, kind of how dedicated he is to the sport with other stuff he does, which is not personal.
I think it was,
but then also just the performances he's given. He's never given a performance like that before.
It was hard to figure out exactly where he was in the heavyweight picture, I think. And I know we said last week that we thought maybe TKV would just, I think he did try to make it as sort of hard as possible to get any success, but the more Riakporhe was landing and he was just finding more and more success as the rounds went on, and you could see that TKV's sort of stamina was dropping, and you could see he was struggling in there. So the performance I thought was very good. The stoppage seemed inevitable as the rounds were going, and yeah, I think he's got definitely an interesting couple of years coming up now in terms of what could be next for Riakporhe.
Yeah, Midnight Train has left the station, but where's the next stop? Romford?
Well, if it's in Britain, it's probably not going anywhere, is
Deutschland, is he getting on the... is the Midnight Train going on the Eurostar? Yeah. Who knows? Or one of those fast German ice trains, who knows? I'm
not being funny, Mike. One of the stories of the night, though, at Tottenham was, even though he didn't get the win, Frazer Clarke, I thought, it was comparing his fight to TKV the last time out in Derby to his performance against Huni, I thought, fair play to him. You know, it wasn't the sort of performance that, albeit it was another loss, it wasn't the performance where you go to him, where are you going in the sport now? You know, go and hang up the gloves and do something else. It was a sort of performance where you go,
maybe he's got
there's still something there.
And it is difficult to see what's next, though.
Johnny Fisher. I think
Johnny Fisher.
We said this in the last episode the two things with Frazer Clarke is he's been in the game so long that I just don't see. I said I didn't see him improving that much because there's not that much more that he doesn't already know. And I suppose I was actually proven wrong in that, because that first performance under Joe Gallagher, he looked a lot fitter. He looked a little bit more confident, a little bit more sharp.
Best performance since the Wardley first fight. Wasn't it?
But I still think I don't see him going away and having 2 or 3 warm-up fights and trying to build again. I think he sees himself just getting big fights and one after the other, and that you don't really get that build with that. So in terms of what's next for him, it's really hard to say.
I still think he could win a British title. I think the best hopes for him would be the Riakporhe vacates the British title to move on to a European, and then he gets another crack at a British title, maybe with TKV again or someone else.
Yeah, I know why you've
that last fight that they had, it was not watchable at all.
That fitter version of Frazer Clarke does a better job against TKV.
I think so, and I can see the Johnny Fisher fight. I think Frazer Clarke causes Johnny Fisher a huge amount of problems because he does have that amateur pedigree, and we spoke about this. We said going into Justis Huni that maybe that might be a better fight than it looks on paper, because they both have strong amateur pedigree, and Frazer Clarke will be able to negate a lot of what makes Justis Huni great in a different way to what Wardley was able to. He was able to wait until he made a mistake and make him pay. Yeah. Whereas Frazer Clarke is probably a more all-round skillful boxer than Fabio Wardley. Yeah. But Fabio Wardley's got the lights out power, and he finds a way to land it.
The first fight they had with each other was a draw that, has aged so well for Frazer Clarke.
Oh, massively, yeah.
So, it's mad to think of how different their careers could be depending on how that result went that night. But obviously the second fight was very much done quite quickly. And that is the difference with Fabio Wardley. He's got that one-punch knockout power, but yeah, when you look at the two performances, I know Fabio Wardley picked up the win against Huni, but Frazer Clarke over more rounds was picking up more rounds because he's probably more technically skilled. But I think, again, Huni I thought was really good, done what he needed to do. Some of the combinations he was firing off was really good. He's really, really top-level operator, and, he'll cause a lot of heavyweights problems. The one defeat against Fabio Wardley, he was more or less, 6 minutes away from
even less than that,
near enough shutout win before he got caught with that shot. So yeah, I don't think it's too much of a dent for Frazer Clarke, the fact he's lost it, but it's just the fact that the last few results he's had have gone the way they have, and it just seems to be those big fights he can't quite get over the line.
Yeah, I was just looking through the sort of heavyweight division, thinking I don't know what's next for Justis Huni. I can't, it's hard to see what kind of fights make sense for him. I think possibly you look to build towards maybe a sort of mega fight against Joseph Parker in terms of that part of the world. I think that commercially makes a lot of sense, but we don't know what's happening with Joseph Parker at the moment. I don't think Joseph Parker knows what's happening with Joseph Parker at the moment. So you can't really base your growth on that.
Caballel?
I think Caballel's a step too far. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard because he kind of falls in that gap, doesn't he? Of just below the very best, but you'd say a step above anyone else.
Warm up for Anthony Joshua for Tyson Fury.
I think it's too big a risk.
Yeah, I think they do Deontay Wilder.
I think
Wilder's the smart move.
Justis Huni represents too big a risk for anyone looking for a warm-up fight, but not enough of a challenge for the top guys. So it's like a kind of weird, I don't know where he goes, but I like him. I really like him as a fighter.
Dave Allen, Philip Hergovich winner? Could be another one.
Or
Sanchez, Torres Sanchez.
And Torres Jr.
That's what I was thinking. I think Sanchez would be a really fun fight, style-wise. They're both not the biggest heavyweights in the world. They're both quite mobile, quite slick, fast hands. I think that could be a really fun matchup.
Are they fighting for the interim?
The IBF mandatory, I think it is, rather than the interim.
So I suppose he could face the winner of that, because I don't know how long the winner of that is going to be waiting for their shot at IBF title.
But we were saying this in the last one, and I don't, obviously, because it's not, the month hasn't ended yet. The IBF haven't announce their next set of rankings. But Derek Chisora was the number 2 ranked IBF with no one in the number 1 position. So technically now Deontay Wilder in this next set of rankings should be the top ranked heavyweight with the IBF below their champion. So on that ground,
fight that was,
and we said this, that is why you look to make AJ versus Wilder as well prior to the Tyson Fury fight, because there is a chance that you could manufacture a world title in the line for this, particularly because Usyk's not going to fight AJ now, they're training together. So
I think
you could manufacture a world title, AJ versus Tyson. Fury versus AJ for the IBF world title.
Could get a couple. WBC could go. There's our man again. He's back in it. Tyson Fury.
No, but they're not going to strip Usyk. And if they do, they have to give it to Kabiel. And then someone has to beat Kabiel to get to AJ. And I don't think they take that risk.
They'll make like a Battle of Britain belt, probably the WBC.
Yes, there'll be a cap. There'll be a cap present for the post fight.
And Ben will be there hate watching as he always does with the WBC.
I'll be too excited for that fight. I'll have my hat and t-shirt on.
If you had to give a percentage for how likely you think we are to see Tyson Fury versus AJ, what would you say?
A 50-50 still, isn't it?
You still think it's complete 50-50?
Because they haven't signed anything.
Yeah, but
they verbally agreed. But how many times have you agreed to something and never done it?
I'm a man of my word. No,
I think if AJ is to get back in the ring, if he has the warm-up fight with Wilder, I think at that point, and he gets through it, hopefully, I think he should. They have to make that happen.
I think as well.
Regardless of whether I think AJ or Fury feel 100% confident in themselves that they're going to win it, the amount of money you make off the back of that, that's the perfect final fight of your career. And you hang them up after that. And I think regardless of...
It's both their last fight.
Yeah, regardless of what happens in that fight as well, they could both hang the gloves up after that. And I think people will give both of them their credit and respect that they deserve for how much they've given to British boxing over the last 10, 15 years and how much really the two of them have carried British boxing during that time and some of the massive nights they've made. I don't think we see, the big stadium fights in the UK without those two and how much they've done over the last 10, 15 years, really. I think the sport as a whole would be in such a different place to where it would be now. And you might not see so much of the involvement of all the influx of money and everything that's come into it in the last few years and the interest around the sport. I think in terms of some of the top dogs to do it, it's those two, especially from Britain. So I think it'd be the perfect send-off for the two of them. Yeah, absolutely. And you said, how many times this has been agreed. I think there is one difference factor, and that is the money is there.
Yeah, we've got the only difference.
We've got the money and the man in Turkey, Alashek, and regardless of how you feel about the boxing over in Saudi Arabia and the investment that they've put into the sport, there is one man who wants that fight to happen and has the financial capacity to make it happen.
What he wants.
And every other sticking point in the negotiations, who's A side, who's B side, who's this, who's that, where is it? All of those things can be ironed out with an extra zero here or there. And I think that's realistically what we'll see. I'm very confident that if AJ comes to the decision that he wants to fight again, that we see him versus Tyson Fury.
In 2026?
Barring any injuries or hiccups, yes. At the back end of 2026.
I think it'd be the end of 2026.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you think that little back and forth they had on Saturday sort of made AJ's mind up? So there was a sense of frustration there, I felt. I know we said earlier, I always felt like it was kind of stuck on him a bit and it was probably a bit of an uncomfortable situation for him. But do you also think there's a part of him who was looking at him thinking, if you really want to go for it, let's
you can see in his eyes, can you?
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit of what's coming,
and I think in the interview he did with DAZN afterwards as well, there was a sense he wanted to say stuff, but he was almost he's being the bigger man essentially, and he was just holding his tongue, and I think and obviously I don't know what's going on in AJ's head, but from my perspective, the way I see it is he's made the decision that he wants that fight probably before that night, but in due time. And that hasn't changed. Maybe the knuckles are getting a little bit itchier now after that. But ultimately, I think he knows that's the fight they make next. And it's just in due time. It's when, not if.
I just really like the fact that he's working with Usyk as well now. And I could just imagine Usyk is in his years.
You could see a little bit of Usyk ringside though, with AJ filming it on his phone.
Yeah,
and I was
also
thinking that's Usyk right there.
I've got so much respect for AJ because I can't remember. Apologies to whoever did it. I don't know where the interview was from, but I seen a clip on it. I think it was part of a kind of one of those silly TikTok like cold edits. So I didn't actually see where it was from. But he said, "Usyk's better than me. Why wouldn't I train with him?
Yeah.
He is better than me. He beat me twice." And I think that takes a huge amount of humility for a heavyweight and for a world champion to step aside and go, yeah, he's better than me. I have things to learn from him.
Even though when they rematched in Saudi Arabia, he wasn't.
But I think he believed it. But now he's come to terms with the fact that Usyk is the best in the world, and if I want to be better, that's the man to do it with.
Can you imagine
That's
Usyk?
the difference between AJ and Fury as well.
Usyk in his corner as well on fight night.
I just think the fitness levels he will bring in there, the nous, and like you say, you've got one man who said there is someone out there better than me. I want to learn from him how to be better. And on the flip side, you've got a man who said, I'm going to train myself for this fight because I've got nothing left to learn. I think that's
and it's the one man that's beaten Tyson Fury as well. And as much as he wants to try and argue against it, he was beaten comfortably twice. Yeah. In my eyes, anyway.
And in the judges' eyes, which are unfortunately, or fortunately, the ones that matter.
Even the AI judge as well, both times.
The AI judge had it wider, I think.
The second time around, but the first time around, he had it exactly the same.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Big up for AI.
No.
Is that what you're saying?
No. Hate AI.
Do you?
They'll be coming for our jobs.
Yeah.
They're coming for our jobs.
I'm coming for AI's jobs. I'm going to set up a little stall where people can ask me questions.
Okay, I'll come and ask you some questions.
You know, AI is sometimes wrong. I can be sometimes wrong. I'll just say it with chest. On that note, if you guys have any opinions on anything we've said, I don't have to invite you to do this. You do it anyway. But let us know. Let us know what you guys think about the AJ Fury fight. Does it happen? Most importantly, but also, do you want to see it, or is it past it in your eyes? Let us know all of that down below in the comment section on both Spotify or YouTube. Obviously, Spotify audio only. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all later in the week.
Punches chance. Punches Chance Podcast.